You guys had a great new year. I am checking something as usual. I have 20,000 tabs opened up, so things load sufficiently slow. If anybody could please tell me that the audio and video look good, I would highly appreciate it. Today's stuff loads exceptionally slow. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's loading so slow, guys. I'm sorry. I guess we'll be waiting. Mr. Erike, good morning. Do you hear everything all right? Hope so, because I just can't. Yeah, I just can't see if because my YouTube is not loading. I don't know. It's very low. It's very slow today. Okay, here we go. I just refreshed something. Not sure what happened. Now it's loading sufficiently fast. Let me just check the sound. Yeah, I don't know what happened now. It's loading really fast. Hmm. Good. Okay. Okay, I think we can begin. Um, I think the sound was fine. So couple of things. Today we are at 84% active on the total validator set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 validators are same validators. I mean, pretty much 5 out of 6 are the same, most likely. We need the first chill. The first chill is somewhat delayed, as many of you are aware that we are working on the new systematic process that shall help develop more uniform dApps and products on both backend and front end of the development. So some things on the back burner, um, which may experience, I mean, may experience certain delay with the force choke, but whatever. Again, the solution here, I would say right now, is just to launch more nodes to get rid of these six, to make sure that those six are not representing a huge percentage of the overall. But again, we have, I think the most important metric is different. The most important metric is the number of failed bridges, the number of failed bridging transactions. And so if I had zero, based on what I know, because nobody reported anything bad. So no matter what the statistic shows here, the fact is that the bridging transactions go through, and that's the most important part. I'm actually curious, what is the new? Oh, so we are at 700 million market cap on the ghostDAO on Sepolia, which is quite nice. It's at 47,000. So we are planning within the next week. We're planning something which I'll start showing the sneak peeks of regarding the ghostDAO governance. And once the ghostDAO governance is more or less, in process, and we know what to do, we are going to add a couple of little things here and there. Most importantly, I think bridging on the Ethereum Classic will be one of the upcoming integrations, because that's sufficiently easy. We didn't experience that many issues yet. The biggest issue that we all may experience with Ethereum Classic, of course, is RPC endpoint, because the Mortar RPC endpoint may not be very consistent. And while it sounds sufficiently easy to integrate it, the problem will be just with the infrastructure. Now, if you can run your own custom RPC endpoint on Mortar Ethereum Classic, that's it. Game over. You don't need to rely on the public ones. You good. You absolutely good. If you run your private ones, that's it. Like, you don't need to rely on this crap, right? So, and of course, the winner strategy is to just to own your infrastructure, like completely own all your wallets, own all your RPC endpoints, etc. So that's going to be the thing. But in any case, 47,000, that's quite nice. 54,000. So just to let me start shedding some light on what these numbers mean, right? So if you put $1, because initially not eCasper, Casper was priced at $1. So if you put $1 at the infants, at the initiation of the genesis of ghostDAO, you would be looking at $54,000 of gains. So $1, produced $54,000, which is how many percentage points? I don't know. I think it's probably 5 million percent of 5,400,000% upside since the launch of Sepolia. Of course, it's all testnet money, but this is just the perspective of what could be potentially achieved. And the market cap of 700 mil. Again, maybe somebody's pushing this towards $1 billion, which is, if somebody's doing this, kudos to you guys. Please keep doing this. That's very, very cool. But yeah, quite interesting to see this. Now, my issue is the circulating supply. We don't have a huge circulating supply. And whenever we either redeploy Sepolia or deploy on the new chain, maybe Pulse chain or whatever, that deployment or deployment after that deployment, we may need to start deploying, assuming that this is like a total mainnet situation, meaning we need to have a series of bonds ready. We have to have a series of discussions about APY and how the APYs need to be changing. I don't think we could be ready with these discussions by the next deployment, but maybe the deployment after the next. What I would like to do is pretty much simulate almost one for one, kind of the game plan of what the community should be doing based on the changes in the protocol. So we'll be looking at how market cap is changing, what's the eCasper price is doing, what's the discrepancy between the backing and the price. We'll be looking at kind of the APY from perspective of, should we manipulating APY or not? Manipulating is a bad word, but should we adjusting it or not, right? Because Right now it's 69%, maybe it should be 6,900% to attract more users, right? So because that percentage will significantly impact the supply. Now, the supply is directly correlated to P ghost and how much exit can ghost community have. So the higher the circulating supply, the higher the exit, the higher the proportion of exit at that specific moment, and vice versa. So they're pretty much the two major sources of increase in circulating supply is the APY itself and the bonds. So those are the two. So therefore, those are the two very important metrics, right, for us to kind of really know what's happening. So that's that. That's that. Yeah. Okay. Let me now switch to what I wanted to share with you guys. What we worked on last week. Hope you see it. Yeah, beautiful. So on this screen, as you remember, the expected timelines for ghostDAO governance and P-Ghost as far as tokenomics and user interfaces is March 31st, 2026. We'll try to get it done by January 31st, though. That's at least my push. Um, Given the fact that we have to redesign the process, we will see, right, how these dates adjust. In any case, March 31st sounds like a good date. I'll tell you exactly what I mean by this change of process, how that may slow us down a little bit, but long term, it's going to be better. And kind of, it's essentially a problem of a dilemma or, um, a decision tree where whether we either don't spend that much time and kind of do quick and dirty MVPs all over, and then if anything, we always correct them down the road, or we spend a little bit more time, maybe double the time even, right? From perspective of, like instead of a month, we spend 2 months. But then we don't really redesign much after the launch. So, and I think that the latter option is better. Why? Because there's that, way more products going to be deployed or solutions going to be deployed soon. Such as ghostDAO governance, such as P-Ghost, such as bridge out, such as, kind of this whole transition from bridging to bridge out. But we also have the curve, the bridging curve. So lots of things. And they, in my opinion, at least in my personal view, that view is not necessarily shared by the team strongly, but we are in discussions. And what I'm pushing towards is to have a pretty interoperable flow. So not interoperability by itself, because again, that word is misused a lot. I'm talking about interoperability of the flow. So if you are going for product A, the product A needs to be guiding or needs to be linking or directing or inspiring users, incentivizing users to then go to product B. When users go to product B, there has to be another flow to product C or back to product A. It doesn't matter. Essentially, all products must be more or less connected with each other logically. And that logical connection cannot just be, in my opinion, cannot just be played with a button. Oh, here's a button, just go and just redirect yourself as a user. No. It's this discussion is much deeper than that. It's more about the user flow, and therefore it's who the user is. And the complexity with this kind of new system that we're trying to work, a new process that we're trying to implement is, first of all, we don't know exactly what this process is, but that's what will make great projects, like perfect processes. I'm, in fact, looking into different philosophies now of a pretty unknown investor who outperformed the market 8x. And that investor specifically focused on that investor is super non-public. Whoever's interested, please ask in Wales, and I'll share some details on this investor. But super kind of behind the curtain, really zero publicity, virtually zero publicity. Not a single interview on YouTube, not a single interview ever. Yet they outperformed the market 8x. And how they outperformed the market, they had the process, and the process was, I think, had 6 pillars on the process, and um, those pillars essentially were describing that you should not be investing in the stock. You should be investing in the company. Okay, that's cool, but you should be investing in the company that has a vision and that is going towards that vision. And these pillars are sufficiently easy to outline, a lot more difficult to analyze because you don't have that much information about the specific company. However, one very important pillars of those 6 pillars was the fact that the company needs to be essentially like very how to say, like, really need to care deeply about the customer, because they described increasing revenues. They I forgot the name of the kind of the name of the uh, anomaly that they found, but it goes like this: revenue of the company goes up because of the revenues. The company can pressure the suppliers and therefore diminish the prices because there's high supply. Then the push the kind of the lower prices can be offered to the clients, to the customers who buy stuff at these companies, um, and customers then, um, given the fact that the prices get depressed and it's easier for the customer to buy stuff because there's anywhere from 2 to 10% discount on stuff compared to the competition, you earn massive loyalty from the customers who then in turn increase the revenue even further. So it's a positive loop cycle. And that was very interesting because that similar loop cycles, right, is what we discuss while building tokenomics for Ghost. So it was interesting that that similar thought was outlined in investors' letters for this asset manager about 10 years ago before they closed the doors on the ups. They closed the doors with 10x, almost 10x in investors' money before fees. So that's quite interesting, right? So how that pertains to Ghost in a very similar way, right? So we do have individual components, individual products that have its isolated, independent tokenomics pieces together. However, it would be nice to map them, right? It would be nice for the user to go to product A, get redirected to product B, due to the user journey, and due therefore to the incentive-based tokenomics. Now, what makes it more complicated is product A may have one type of user and product B may have another type of user. And we need to kind of put down the ideal persona for product A and then ideal persona for product B, and then figure out how they can interact with each other through those user journeys, right? So it's a pretty 3D type of architecture. It's very spatial, right, in terms of how many dimensions it has, and that's why it's not that easy to really do it. Um, and that's why the process may take a little bit of time. And the reason is, do we really need the process? Can we just do it quick and dirty? And yes, that's an option. That's the option some of the team members pushing for. Some whales pushing for something similar. I'm personally pushing for, let's take a deep breath, reanalyze everything, even if it takes a little bit of time, 2 or 3 weeks, whatever, and then give it a try. So something that we're giving a try right now is with the ghostDAO governance. So let me outline what we have right now. And I can't quite describe exactly what I don't like about it, but let me just go through the process. So this is the I wouldn't say that's a quick and dirty mock-up. It's a pretty thoughtful mock-up, being inspired by a bunch of DAOs out there, including Uniswap, Injective, Aave, MakerDAO, obviously Olympus DAO. Some of those designs are taken from majorly from design perspective. This is Olympus DAO. Like, if you guys go to check it out, it's mostly Olympus DAO. But we analyzed all the other DAOs as well, to make sure that certain components and elements are the same, to make sure that it's all congruent. So on this page right here, this is the list of all the proposals. Now, the list of proposals has canceled or executed. This is an important batch attached to it. Here we have the approval statistic. It's a bar graph or bar chart. It's from 0% to 100%. Therefore, that's the approval rank. And then we also have a quorum. Quorum is what's the minimum number of ghost holders, Casper holders who must vote, who must appear to this specific proposal for this proposal to even be considered for the vote. Specific differentiation between approval and quorum. Let's assume, like here, for example, we take quorum. Can I draw? Maybe I can draw. Oh, I can even draw. Okay, so let's assume quorum is somewhere here, right? Like, let's assume the minimum quorum is 10%, and then here the quorum is 15%. So 15% of attackers came on, and they want to go ahead and change the APY, in their favor. However, the attackers only got, and those who support attackers only got 15% of all the Casper in circulation on that specific blockchain, on Sepolia or Tron or whatever. So therefore, no matter what the approval rating is, not obviously, but most likely they'll be able to get to the 100% approval. However, this proposal will not go through because the quorum must be at least 20%, for example, right? Now, okay, well, what if I'm an attacker and instead of 15%, I have 20% of Casper? Can I still attack the network? Of course you can. And then the question is, like, if you have 20% of the quorum, do you really need to completely demolish this, tokenomics on this specific blockchain? It goes down that specific blockchain, because like if if you have so much equity right in the project, like maybe you are very much interested to not screw up with the project itself, right? So that's kind of the the thing. Now, another important consideration is to make sure that once we launch, it goes down on a blockchain, say on Ethereum, we need to try to get to the uniform distribution of Casper amongst various stakeholders, amongst various addresses. That way, we will be pushing for decentralization. Now, of course, in the short-term decentralization and long-term decentralization, two different decentralizations, right? Because most likely, whether we like it or not, but most likely there will be a certain centralization of ownership down the road, right? Because rich become richer and poor become poorer, mostly due to habits and mindsets. And even if day one the allocation of cash is somewhat decentralized, down the road it may be very, very few addresses, and we need to do something about this. We need to really heighten the overall educational process around what ghostDAO means and what ghostDAO governance mean. And while not every single person will be, kind of sincerely interested in the governance, those who will need to be driving this, right? So we need to be probably creating some tools for those who really care to participate. So that's that. Now we also have total votes, right? So I mean that's what that's what Olympus has, like how many votes that appeared. I believe this is how many Caspers participate in that specific vote. So we have executed, we have cancelled. So far so good. Now the problem with this so far is kind of the problem that I have. Like, this is fine, right? Like normally we would just say, cool, done, let's go execute it, right? So that's what we would normally do. But for this time, I'm kind of pushing for, okay, cool, how a user can even get to the proposal page? Like, well, the answer is, well, on the left side, we'll have this governance tab here, and you just press it and boom, and you're good. And it's fine. I agree. That, again, is a good solution. But is there a better solution? That's what we're going to be inquiring about over the course of the next couple of weeks. Because, so for example, some ideas that we have is, what if when you buy Casper, like, so you buy eCasper on the DEX, right? Or via the bond. And once you got your eCasper, then you wrap that into Casper. Okay, cool. Let's assume S Casper does not exist. Now you have Casper. Cool. Maybe maybe we should have a button there somewhere saying, hey, like, you only have, let's assume the minimum to create a proposal is 6.9 Casper. That's the minimum for you to create it to, like, you can vote, right? But if you want to create a proposal right here, for example, you need to have a minimum of 6.9 Casper. Okay, so if that's the minimum, and you only have one Casper, right, like in your wallet, maybe we should add the button somewhere saying, hey, listen, like, just, if you want to make proposals, just, up your game by buying another 5.9 Casper. Because that way, you'll be able to contribute towards creating proposals. And similarly, if you have a little bit of Casper, 1 Casper or 0.1 Casper, we should tell, hey, listen, cool, like, now you can participate in proposals. Here's the button, right? So while it's only 2 buttons, it's not just the buttons, it's the user journey itself. Do we convert Casper users who maybe just want to bridge towards becoming massive governance practitioners, right? So that's kind of the discussion that we should be having. And again, it's not just about those 2 buttons, it's the overall user journey. And then what? So once you voted, like let's assume you voted here, then what? What do you do? What do you do with your Casper? What do you do with your vote? So that is something we need to keep considering, and that's why, again, quick and dirty is right there. And again, that's not quick and dirty. That's a pretty thoughtful thing, but we can significantly improve this. Okay. Here, that's the next frame here. So ghostDAO governance. Okay, I want to become super rich. Okay, sure. Now here, once you clicked on a proposal, you shall have a description. Now, given the fact that we're not going to be hosting stuff using IPFS, we'll probably be hosting it. We're not going to be hosting this on centralized servers. We need to have some easy way to project. We need to have an easy way to project these proposals. So these proposals will have the URL, and that was the consideration that we just discussed during Wales Wednesdays, whether to how to host the description of the proposal, because the description of the proposal may be as easy as a paragraph and maybe as difficult as the entire research paper, white paper with formulas and charts and stuff, like to explain exactly why a specific APY may be this or that, or why a specific bond may need to be introduced, and what's the capacity of the bond, what's the discount of the bond, etc. So on this front, we have the abstract. Now the abstract may be located under a special hyperlink, and then which is different from what Olympus, for example, has, or any other projects with DAOs have, because most of them just host stuff on a centralized server, and that's why they're able to show this stuff. Yeah, it's better for user experience, absolutely, 100%, but it's not better for decentralization, right? So, we have a hyperlink. That was the discussion, where to put the hyperlink. Should it be a forum based? Should it be some Twitter based? Whatever. It should be absolutely geo free without any restrictions. Should be as permissionless as possible. If you have access to the internet, you should be able to access it. So that's how good it should be. And yeah. Now here we have statistic about that specific proposal. So we have approval, we have quorum, how many Casper have voted, and right, against, abstain, everything. And then you can vote as well. So with those 3 buttons. Now, what I don't like about these buttons is this whole structure. We don't have the structure anywhere else, and that's why we need to fight about it, because we don't have it anywhere else. So do we need to kind of redesign this whole thing? Potentially. How to redesign it? Should it be different model, like different panels? Should it not be different panels? Should we have these 2 bar charts, which we don't use anywhere else except for the governance menu? So these are the questions that I personally have for this design. Now we have to have a function, executable code, some type of target, some type of value. Then on the next page, we have some signature and call data. So something like that, some type of parser of the hash of the suggested transaction, which will incorporate the parameters that everybody needs to vote for. And once those parameters are accepted, anybody can push those parameters directly into the smart contract, and boom, that's an on-chain vote, right? So, like, we cannot be feeding paragraphs with copy and charts and formulas into the smart contract. No. Based on that research, we figure out what parameters shall be pushed into the smart contract, and we are voting only for those parameters, right? So that's kind of the process. And then the parameters, once changed on chain by everybody's vote, then they go in action. Okay, I think today's stream is buffering based on what I see. So I apologize, but I don't think I can do anything about this. So maybe the recording will be buffered as well. And again, if that's the case, I deeply apologize for this. There's nothing I can do, unfortunately. All right, so now another page is create proposal, right? So anybody will be able to anybody with like a minimum, for example, minimum, let's assume 6.9 Casper will be able to create proposals. So you just put a title for that specific proposal, description, maybe a hyperlink for that, or just like maybe just incorporate the hyperlink itself, and then similarly, you incorporate the function, target, value, signature, and call data, all these parameters, right? And then that's how you prepare a proposal, create a proposal. Then you need to promote this proposal for others to vote. Because technically anybody with 6.9 Casper can create a proposal. So therefore, if there are attackers who create like thousands and thousands of these proposals, we need to make sure that these proposals, only the good ones get elected. The good ones as defined by the community. So that's why the promote